we need to find bigger pool of players. So one of the challenges in coaching probably is there's squash courts are not easily accessible. I'll share just the advice that my dad gave me when I was young. Every time there's a sports match coming on, he said just watch these professionals play, same for any sport, and listen to the commentators, because commentators are ex-professionals, and this is how we learn. Let's say old, young, we want everyone, because if you take older players, then their kids might join.
What is up, guys? My name is Charles Liu. Welcome to Biz Chat with Charles Liu Season 2. And we're still talking to real business people, in a way, about real business stuff. But hey, why so serious? In this episode, we talked to Andre Kor, the head coach of Sarawakan Squash. Okay? Now, here's the thing. As you guys know, after watching all of our episodes, that business don't happen in isolation. And in this season, you would know that we're looking into various industries in Sarawak and how we can make each industry self-sustainable and thriving, okay? And I think Andre, being a personal friend, I think it would be very easy to talk to the head coach of Sarawakan Squash and see what he thinks about the state of sport in the country and in Sarawak in general. If you look at all of the sports centers, recreation centers, they're always booked out because sport is so much a part of our culture, right? But why is sport always just recreational for us and never truly competitive? Why is that?
I think first we have to define what's competitive, right? So probably they would need to be winning at the highest level over and over and over again, So in Sarawak and in Malaysia, we have top athletes which win once, twice, but to sustain like maybe Nicole David, Lee Chong Wei, so they have to be groomed really well. They have to be disciplined. They have to have that hunger and passion. I was an ex junior player, but then after that, I didn't have that. Probably I did not have that hunger enough to take it to the next level.
Is it on you to have the hunger, or would the ecosystem actually play a part in that?
I think it's a little bit of both. Probably if the ecosystem was more finessed, as it is now, it's getting better year by year. Maybe that would then influence some of my decisions. Like majority, I think we look into money. Is sports a career? After SPM, like, should I study or should I continue to play? Can I have a good career with sports? And then after that, we need to look into, if we want to go for tournaments, we will need to fund our travels. And if we don't go for tournaments, we don't get points.
When you say fund your travels, means what? Like the government don't really sponsor you for these trips?
So the government does have some money to go for this, but how much, So then it's up to us as athletes to pick which tournaments we want to go to. So it's not just as easy as I want to play.
Yep.
So real elite athletes as well, we have to be a bit smart with our decision. We pick which tournaments that we can take us far, because initially we want to get ranking.
Take me through the journey of a budding athlete. Like, say for example, if there's a kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, identified to have, the talent in maybe football or in squash or in badminton, what's next for this kid?
Let's use the long-term athlete development. Where they say when you're young you need to have multiple sports. Don't go early specialize. Then when you get older you can decide which sport you want to play. So that's the normal way to go. But for us, let's just use squash. Let's say they come in. Initially we'll take them training just for the basics, once, twice a week. And on the occasions that we see those that have talent, of course then we cannot show biasness. So we will then have to try to keep them. Sure. And then we will slowly talk to the parents. Then we got to increase their training load to maybe 3 times a week. You have to do it slowly, because if you do it too fast, parents, in Sarawak especially, is tuition.
Yes.
So we need to slowly bring that in. The good thing is that our junior development program here, it's pretty good. We have lots of tournaments. So
Local tournaments.
local, Semenanjung. So you can go up to 7-8 tournaments a year.
This is squash we're talking about.
Just
yeah?
squash, yeah. I think that's why squash in Malaysia is actually not too bad.
Sure.
Yeah, we're very good on junior level. We're top 3 in the world actually. So when they come in, we can decide which tournaments they go from exposure tournaments just for fun to all the way to competitive ones.
From your experience, developing young talents, are there success stories?
Like for us, we all have different goals and all this thing. And
We even have a different definition of what success looks like.
right. Yeah, that's very true actually, because some people just to get, we're too result orientated sometimes. I would say. Yeah, so that's a really good word you mentioned. Yeah, so success stories. As of now, I think we're talking about Sarawak. Miri has been producing a lot of good players. How they work? And just imagine this. Let's say you suddenly have one really good athlete. So then this athlete becomes the role model. So then it's more of like all his peers would then have someone to strive to be and all that, and they train together.
Sure.
So I think that plays a small part on it. It's a very small part, but we need to find bigger pool of players. So one of the challenges in coaching probably is there's squash courts are not easily accessible. Like now we're lucky we have a squash court at stadium, Putrajaya. Yeah, but then some people still find it's too far. People around town area.
How's the grassroots like for squash? Like as the head coach of Sarawakan Squash, for example, do you have access to, like, say for example, all the squash clubs in high schools, in primary schools? Like are there reach into these clubs?
So I used to do this before I was the head coach. Yeah. So initially, like after the playing career, that's one there, right? So after I finished squash, 17, I stopped playing. It's either two things. One, to either go to Bukit Jalil and try the Tim Pro. I was invited. Career progression. Do I want that? Would it, let's say if I'm injured, what happens then? Is there any support after that? Or if I give so much time and I get injured? And this was, let's say, almost 10 years ago. Do you have that hunger to sacrifice 4 or 5 hours a day, and not eat kolomi, not eat laksa? So that's something I could never do. I train hard, but diet. I like to eat. You can see my size.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I was away from the scene for, let's say, 2 years.
Okay.
Because play too much, burnout. When you're training, let's say 6-7 times a week.
Yeah.
So you go to university and then suddenly you experience a whole new world. Yeah. So I just stayed away for a while. Did some part-time coaching, get some money, and then. My late coach, he passed away, and then so he passed away around that time, and then squash and coaching, the players were dwindling probably because he's getting old, his health and all this. So then we came back, a few of us, the ex-players came back, and then decided to, okay, I may not be passionate to be a champion, but squash has been part of my life for, I don't know, I played since I was 7.
Yeah.
So now I'm 31.
Whoa.
It's 20 over years in the squash
yeah,
scene. So going in there, then how do we then create more players? Again, taking into account squash is not so popular. So we can't just, if we just put ads, come and play squash, nobody will come, And then we went to the schools and we do the ECA.
Sure.
I think initially you just want to make squash fun, make squash a more volume, more popular sport.
From the conversation that we just had, right? I want to highlight the fact that it is so hard to get a sport going if it's purely from individual efforts, I would say. I'm not saying the government needs to do everything. I think it's the ecosystem that is not ready locally. And if people are waiting for each other to start something, then everyone is just playing a waiting game without someone leading the way and creating a revival within that sport alone. So we'll go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Andre about sports as a full-time career. I think that is a fascinating one. So we'll be right back. And we're back to Beast Chat with Charles Liu Season 2. And we're still with Andre Cole, the head coach of Sarawakan Squash. Sports as a full-time career. Now, is it possible in Sarawak, in Malaysia?
It is possible to a certain extent. Depends on what we're trying to achieve and all that. Sports as a career, firstly, I think this is quite interesting though. Let's not look into sports as just sports, but sports is $1 billion industry, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't look into what's that? Endorsements, sponsorships, and all these things. So sports as a full-time career could be possible. There are two things. Let's look into one. Something I always emphasize from grooming kids from young. And this is like look into those top athletes like Roger Federer, Lewis Hamilton, and those football players, right? After they finish and they go for press conferences, and the way they carry themselves are just another level compared to Malaysians. Over the years, I think we're getting there now. We're going there now, but we could start that earlier. And this would then, it doesn't have to be just sports. They can bring this to other things in the future. But if they are carry themselves well, and then they carry Malaysia, Sarawak's name, and then this would then attract, it's easier to then attract sponsors and all these things, endorsements. So that's one of the possibilities. Over the past few years, as of now, like that, they're getting there. The sports ministry, Sports Sarawak, Majlis Sukan Negeri, they have quite a good vision, creating this Sarawak as a powerhouse. We want to not only just be the next Bukit Jalil, but even better. We don't need to go to KL to then have tournaments. To produce athletes and all these things.
Okay.
So
tell us more about the plan.
They're even bringing in the sports village. So we're gonna have our own sports village here, so we can retain athletes.
What's the roadmap of that? Yeah.
The roadmap. Just as of now, they're actually funding in Sarawak alone. They're funding coaches. So it's like we get more fixed salaries and all, as compared to last time where we had to rely on students to just give fees and all that, which is sometimes not enough. We do get a lot of help now from the government.
Sure.
So going there, and then the roadmap into having that sports village, having a high performance unit.
Life after professional sports in Sarawak.
Probably not Sarawak. Maybe I'll give you a few people that I know around Malaysia.
Sure.
Yeah, so majority still end up coaching. They finish their playing careers. They are probably top 30, top 40, maybe not top 1, because
Ong Beng Hee.
Yeah, Ong Beng Hee top 10. But you have to be back to the grooming and everything. You have to be top 1, and you have to be charismatic.
Yes.
And a bit smarter in your decisions. Yes. And these are the people like Nicole, Lee Chong Wei, where they probably get really good career because they get endorsements, they get sponsorships. Yeah. But for the rest of us who do not get all the way to that level, it's that cutthroat. Like after you're done, then what?
I agree with you 100%. I think because like I shared with you earlier about some of the ex-professional football players that I personally know, and sitting down with them to talk about what are they doing now, how are they coping now, you can feel like there is a roadblock here. Like for example, I can't name names, but one of the professional footballer that I was having a meeting with, wondering whether he should go for a footballing coaching license or whether he should just be working for the small company that he's working with and earning a bit of money and then playing football over the weekend and taking a bit of money from each club that actually hires him for that particular weekend. I think it's sad because these were household names in their prime. They used to represent Malaysia. They used to represent Sarawak. But when everything is over, they're left to fend for themselves. Should the government then be teaching, like, if someone decide to actually go pro, okay? So basically going pro basically at the age of 15, 16 or whatever, and so perhaps not going to university, or maybe if they go to university, because they will need to train along the way, they may not have excelled in university and things like that. So once the career is done in sports, would there be should there be coaching as to how you actually adapt into working life and how do you succeed thereafter?
It's quite tough though, because we should not look at coaching as the worst case scenario, because coaches are, I mean, it's only in Malaysia, but let's say in other countries, maybe coaches are paid pretty well, you know. So I think it's overall, it's a whole big picture thing that which do we start first and all that. Yeah, and we would still need coaches, because they're specialized, their expertise is definitely needed.
For the government to actually coach them to get back into the workforce and to monetize whatever skills they have for the rest of their lives, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably we would need some courses on that as well, right? Yeah. In that sense, yeah.
Okay. So guys, we'll go to a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up with Andre's prediction as to how sports will develop in Sarawak going forward. We'll be right back. And we're back to Beast Chat with Charles Liu, Season 2, final segment with Andre Cole, the head coach of Sarawakan Squash. Now, what would you like to see happen in Sarawakan sports?
I would say it's getting there, but I probably want to improve the structure in terms of that cycle from grassroots level all the way back up to coaches, and that cycle, grassroots, professional, all that. So starting in schools, instead of like us keep going to do talent ID to beg for players. Take for example, just our neighbors, Singapore. They have school programs, and then from these school programs, then it's easy to then create inter-school tournaments, inter-house, inter-school, and then from there, grading system, it's more structured, and then this would then eliminate any biasness, any, we have a proper roadmap.
Yep.
And this would then be more attractive to more people coming in.
Yes.
Because like for squash, we do not have Olympics. That's sad. But over here, my ex-teammates and all that, we actually use squash as a stepping stone to go for sports scholarship in USA. Yeah, like take for example schools. It's everyone goes to school, So just I'm sure, let's say someone sponsors a inter-school tournament, and it's a yearly thing, like you mentioned as well.
Yes.
So this is huge brand exposure.
Absolutely.
And all that.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Now, what are the challenges that you think are impeding the development of sports in Sarawak?
Main one is just we can't retain athletes.
Why?
Our general lifespan for athletes here is all the way to SUKMA or SPM, and then they're gone. They go study.
Sure.
They either go study or they go work. And
so the major impediment, would you say, is mindset?
Yeah, mindset is there. Parents. I mean, I was invited to go to Bukit Jalil when I was 13. Yeah, and then my dad was like, "No lah, stay here, train here."
Any regrets?
There are some what ifs, like even after 17, whether I wanted to turn pro, if I could go there or not, or go to States, follow my teammates. I actually skipped my SATs because I just decided I didn't want to play squash anymore. Yeah, so regrets, I don't think so. I'm not that kind of person that wants to think of what ifs.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah, it'll be good to try to play at that competitive level once in a while. Now when I see the professionals play, I do miss it sometimes. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. What is your advice to young athletes wanting to turn pro or semi-pro?
For athletes as well, I think it's all about time management. You can't just study all the time. It's just you definitely need to study, so you have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Again, sports is cutthroat, but I don't think it's hard to spend 2-3 hours a day playing a sport that you love. And now it's so much better with like YouTube and broadcasting, where you can actually watch. Take for example squash now. I can watch full live matches on YouTube for free, and there was none last time.
Yeah.
I will share just the advice that my dad gave me when I was young. Every time there's a sports match coming on, he said just watch watch these professionals play, same for any sport, and listen to the commentators, because commentators are ex-professionals, and this is how we learn, from listening to different people, learning from the top.
Yeah,
So it's so free, it's so easy
yes.
right now. So that's, I think, the best advice I can give.
Sure. For fear of sports like squash being phased out, right, going forward, like, what can be done here?
I think that's one of the reasons why I still stick to squash, because I love the sport. I can't just leave the sport. It's really hard. So what I do now when people want to play, squash is so hard to find public courts. Old, young, we want everyone, because if you take older players, then their kids might join. So we can't just say, I just want to find younger players. I think that's a mentality where some of the people have.
Yes.
And that's not good as well, because older people are where money comes. So we need money to sustain. I mean, it's true,
That's fair.
Because if there's no money coming in, then they are not going to bring their kids to come and play. So there's something that individually, as coaches or as someone part of the sport, that we would then just have to keep trying to do better. So when they come to play, what I do sometimes is, okay, I'll give you 5 lessons or 10 lessons. I can't take them for a long term, because let's say they're older. I don't have we are a limited time. Then after they come in, we just teach them the basics. And then from there, we throw them to the pool of other people that I teach to try and create that community.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that's what we try to create. And then if we have a huge enough community, then tournaments can come in, and this is where opportunities lie, where we can get more funding and more people to join the board. So I think that's the way moving forwards.
Here's something for us to think about, right? At the end of the day, a lot of the conversation we talk about, yes, we talk about the things that we can do and things like that. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to funding, right? What could you do? What could we do? At the end of the day, this is a BizChat program. And the truth is this: there are so many opportunities for you and I to actually leverage on sports. I mean, for sure, if sport is mature, there will be opportunities. But sports being not mature, sports being still in the development space, there are also opportunities, because it's a blue ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from my point of view, sports in the country, there's a lot to be desired. No doubt about it, right? I mean, we look at all of the issues with Lee Zizia and Bam and a lot of these kind of issues. At the end of the day, it's up to you and I. It's up to our mentality, our kids. We decide for them sometimes. And so we ought to be making the right decisions as well. So until the next episode, guys, we thank you, Andre Cole, for coming on the show. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.